Salut everyone! In this video, we're gonna make a tier list of the best custom kernel for gaming. Yes, the best. And don't expect some type of benchmark, because I'm gonna tell you something which is gonna blow your mind in this video. So let's get into it. As always, let's start with a little bit of context. I'm AirMax. I've been playing competitively in FPS for almost 2 decades. I'm not competitor anymore. I still won some competition when I was a full-time streamer on Twitch. I have a North American title. Woohoo! But I've been participating in those, and most of my content were really around game which involve skill related to first-person shooters. Now we put that out of the way. I'm saying that not as a show-off, but because I want to share with you my perspective and where I come from when it comes to understanding how good some Linux kernel are for gaming versus how bad some others are actually for gaming. I've read a lot of posts, I've seen a lot of videos, I've seen a lot of benchmark, and most of them are just plain wrong. And I wanted to make this video to share with you my experience for the last 3 years of me gaming exclusively on Linux, and what were my choice and what are my choice actually when it comes to kernel to have the best performance in gaming. So before we jump into the list, I want to tell you exactly how I define performance. I would say 10 years ago or even 20 years ago, when we were talking about performance, we were just talking about pure FPS. Screen were not the same, mouse were not the same, CPU were not the same, everything was totally different. Nowadays, when we talk about performance in gaming, there is really 2 big factors we need to take in consideration. The FPS in general, so average 0.1 loads, 1% loads, and frame time, because those are going to give you kind of a good approach toward how fluid the game is going to be. This is going to be the first part. The second part, which I believe most of the review, I would say all the review I've watched are not really pointing at, is the input lag. Input lag reactivity, reactiveness, of your mouse when you move it on the screen. And this, my friend, is one of the most important things in Linux, because what you need to understand is the kernel, as they were developed at the beginning, are really oriented toward workload for server. And they are not really customized for you to have a gaming experience great out of the box. So now we put that out of the way. I don't have any type of tool to measure the difference of input lag between kernels. This video is going to be about my feeling, my overall feedback toward those kernels. The good news is that, as I mentioned before, I have a background of professional gaming, and I know what I'm talking about. So if the game is laggy, if the game is unresponsive, I'm going to share it with you guys, and I'm going to share it with you through the test of the kernel I made. So don't expect any benchmark, because those benchmark, they are kind of synthetic. I think the most important right now is really focusing on the input lag. So let's get into it. We're going to go together through the different type of kernel I did try for the last 3 years and the one I choose. Now, let me explain a little bit what it's all about here. So at the top, we're going to have the best, the one you should use if you can. Then we're going to have the almost best. Those one you can use it, but they won't give you the best really performance, and they're going to be just a little bit under for various reasons, and for each kernel I'm going to talk about it. Those ones are okay just for gaming, which means if it's not competitive and you just want a game and you don't care about what I just did earlier, just they're just okay-ish, so go with those. And not happening, it means I would not recommend playing game on that. And when I say not happening, you will see some of those kernels are pretty funny, and they can make your gaming experience even worse. So let's start with the first one. And sorry about the icon there, but you know, obviously it's kernel, it's something really technical. They don't have like icon, most of those kernel. So we're gonna go like with my explanation, so make sure you follow. So the first one here is the generic kernel. And the generic kernel, I will put it in the OK. I'm gonna cut the ice right away. You can game on a generic kernel, no problem. Can you game competitively on the generic kernel? I would say no. It comes with an input lag, which is a little bit higher than the other option. The responsiveness is a little bit higher in terms of latency. Some of you guys might never feel it because of your hardware or just your cognitive approach. You know, you don't have a 200 Hertz monitor or 144 monitor. You are playing at 60 Hertz and you're playing on a laptop. Well, I would say, you know, it's okay. You can play, but that's just okay. Nothing else. Now the second one, the generic LTS. And this one, if I made this video, let's say 1 year ago, I would have put it in not happening. But now I'm going to put it in OK, and I'm going to explain you why. So the LTS generic kernel is a long-term support kernel for Linux. And what happened is that for the 6.6 version, the new scheduler called EEVDF was applied within the kernel. So before this one, the previous LTS kernel was running on CFS, which is the previous mainline scheduler. And this one was just horrible when it comes to gaming. But now, because EEVDF has been pushed into the LTS, the experience is actually okay. And I won't go too deep into the scheduler. We're just going to talk about it like that. Maybe I should make a video after, like about them. But I think kernel approach and, you know, high-level approach is way better for all the viewers out there. So if you are running a distro with the LTS kernel, it's okay. You can play games. However, when it comes to competitive gaming, I would say, you know, it's just okay-ish. It's not there. Okay, like let's be clear. It's gonna be still providing some latency, and you're gonna have to tweak some of the command line, your launcher, to make sure like everything is going fast. But in terms of input lag, there is really like not a lot you can do. So now this little icon there represent the generic kernel Hardened. So this one is really based for security. And this one, I'm going to put it in not happening. This kernel is really oriented toward security on machine. It has nothing to do with gaming and latency or anything. It's just ready for safety. And again, this solves certain case scenario, but certainly not gaming. Could you game on it? Maybe. Would I recommend gaming on it? No, I will never use that for my gaming machine. Like it's just not happening. Now this one is called the real-time. So it's still based on generic, but it's a real-time low latency kernel. And you should be like, oh, low latency, it should be the best, right? Like we're going to put it in the best. Well, not at all. This is a special kernel which is really oriented toward applications which are ready for it. So you need special application which is gonna take advantage of this real-time, low latency type of kernel. I tried to game on it. It was just a mess. It was just not working at all. I would say avoid this one. It's gonna create more problem than actual solution. Now you know. And now this little one here, it's called Xen. So Xen kernel, almost the best or okay. Oh man, that's a tough one. I think I will put it into okay. And the way we're gonna do it, I'm gonna actually organize them to give them an order of preference. And I would say this one will be better than the generic and also better than the LTS, the Xen one. So it comes with some patch. We're going to make it like kind of like ready for a lot of like application and also for gaming. If you have the cognitive approach to feel the difference on your screen, you might see a little difference between, or at least me, I see it, between the generic one and the Zen. Is it a big one? Not that much. Is it okay for gaming? Yes, it is. Would I recommend it for competitive gaming? No. But this one comes with a lot of patch, which will be also applied in the one we'll be talking after this. So now we are talking about the Liquorix kernel. So Liquorix kernel, I would put it in almost the best. So to be super straight, I do believe that the maintainer of Zen and Liquorix are the same, or maybe like the maintainer of Zen is also working on Liquorix, something like that. And I would say that this one comes with a really good performance. The input lag is definitively like, you can feel the difference. It's a solid kernel on this approach. I would also mention that this, I would say like baby, come with an old school scheduler called PDS. And please correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's going to change in the future, but last time I tried it was PDS scheduler, which is one of the most like old school, most performing scheduler out there when it comes to input lag and latency. And I would say it's the best overall. So why is not almost the best? It's not almost the best because in my test, I had some type of like weird behavior where my 1% low for this gaming kernel was a little bit lower than some others. On the good note, if you are on any type of Debian-based distro, you don't have to compile it. You go on their website, you put a line of command, you install it, and you should be good to go. So it's really easy to install, but I would say in terms of performance, it's kind of like, you know, not the best. So that's why I put it in almost the best. For competitive gaming, could you use it? I guess you could, but you might let some performance on the table compared to the other one. Now let's talk about the Xanmod. So the Xanmod, it could have been the best because it comes with a lot of iteration and it comes with a lot of variation. So depending on the CPU you have, you can really like pinpoint the type of kernel you want. So you will have like the Edge version, you will have the mainline, you will have the LTS version of the Xanmod, and for each of those versions, you will have a specific flag for your CPU. So V2, V3, V4. So in terms of performance, I would put it above Liquorix. That's my feeling. It's a really good performing kernel. However, it's not the best in my opinion, because in my test and my review, it was crashing a lot of time. That's the only kernel that crashed my machine. And my machine is actually super stable, you know, on Windows, on Linux, with other kernel, like I had no issue. With this specific kernel, I always had problem. So maybe it's gonna improve. Well, right now I have to give you my feedback, and that's why it's not a part of the best kernel out there. Now, Clear Linux. So Clear Linux was really a surprise. So Clear Linux to me was really a surprise because this kernel is just awesome when it comes to performance. And overall, I would say like input lag. Like I've been amazed, literally amazed. Is it the best out there? Is it the best out there? I think I'm going to put it out there. Is it the best? We'll talk about it after the next two ones there. But it's definitively one of the best. If you have the knowledge to, you know, use it and how to compile it and how to take advantage of it, I will really advise you to give it a try. So if you are using Arch, for example, they have a special like package there on the AUR when you can compile it from scratch. It's pretty good. When it comes to pure performance, I've had a blast with this kernel, chat. I can say really nothing about it outside of the fact that it doesn't come with a lot of customization. So you have to take it as it is, you install it, and that's all. So some of you guys might love that. But I have to say, when it comes to performance, it was actually really good. Really good. Now, one of my favorites. So I made a video about it. I talked with the creator of this kernel. It's the TkG kernel. To me, this kernel is one of the best, if not the best. I'm gonna cut it straight. This is one of the best, is not the best. It comes with a specific script. I'm gonna put a link of my video tutorial in the description below for you to learn how to use it. Also learn how to reduce the compile time. I can compile this kernel in less than 5 minutes when I've set it up correctly. This is for me one, if not the best kernel to run on every platform. It runs on almost every distro. You can compile it through the script. And why is it the best? So this kernel comes with a lot of patches, including the Zen kernel, including the Clear Linux kernel, including some really pinpoint patch that make it just a well-rounded kernel. Because it comes with a script, you have customization. You can choose your scheduler. You can choose the tick rate. You can choose the specific optimization for your CPU. You have so many options. Again, go watch the video. This is really a game changer. So think about it when it comes to kernel. I know some of you guys might be lazy because it takes some time to compile, but if you really deep dive into it, you're gonna be amazed. Now, last but not least, CachyOS kernel. So CachyOS kernel, guys, it's in between those two. I would say it depends if you are running CachyOS or not. And let's put it at the best here. This one is actually crazy. I'm going to explain you why this kernel is so good. If you are running CachyOS, you're going to be having the kernel deployed on your machine without doing anything. It's their main kernel. Obviously, they are developing it. They are working with all the big kernel developer and optimizer over there. And they propose you kernel which are optimized out of the box with already compiled with different scheduler. So you just have to download the kernel and you are good to go. You have nothing to do. You don't have to compile it. This is a big plus. When it comes to performance, you will be at the same level as TkG here because they kind of like share the same patch. The only difference here will be the fact that it's pre-compiled. So on top of that, they included a feature which is going to be pushed in the next kernel update, maybe 6.11 or 6.12, we're not sure yet, which is called SCED-X. And this specific feature gives you the opportunity to switch your scheduler on the fly in the user space, which means like you can switch your scheduler while you are on your desktop environment. So this, I'm going to make a video about it because it's just crazy. Facebook, Google, like a lot of like big company already use that, and CachyOS ported it to their kernel, and you can actually like use it. This is just crazy. So this kernel is really like one step above when it comes to customization and also when it comes to performance, because you're at the level of the free over one or even like better than Clear Linux here, but you have all this like level of like optimization and customization that you can actually do on your side on top of the rest. So yes, pretty good kernel overall. So now you get a better like idea of the landscape of the custom kernel when it comes to gaming. And if you do understand like all the video, it's not about benchmark. There is a side which is definitively related to benchmark when it comes to pure performance, because I would say like the generic kernel overall, they're gonna always like have some performance, like I would say like under the custom one. But I think like when you go higher and you start to look into you know, like the responsiveness, the latency while you game, there is definitively a value added with the custom kernel. And at the end of the day, it really depends on your material, your hardware. Like, is your screen fast enough for you to perceive a difference? Is your hardware powerful enough to perceive a difference? And honestly, like if it's not a problem, because if you have exactly the same performance, because you can't actually like get to a point where there is a difference between kernel, well, you can just stay with the generic or the Xen. Like there is no really like need for you to, you know, get into the custom kernel. What I would say, however, it's free. You know, what is going to cost you is a little bit of time just to test them and to have like a real, like I would say, like solid feedback when it comes to their performance. So there is a lot of other variable I can't really get into. It's really around like how tuned is your hardware? Do you have an overclock? Is it stable? Like etc. etc. I know that those type of variables are definitively going also to have any type of you know, like impact on the way you perceive the responsiveness of your machine. I feel like I needed to share this video with you guys because at the end of the day, it's really up to you to test it. What I can say on my hand is that there is a real value added using a custom kernel on my machine. And there is a lot of distro maintainer that actually feel the same. So if you think about Nobara, its kernel is totally patched. If you think about Buzzite, same. They actually moved from scheduler 76 to the CachyOS scheduler. So everything is patched. If you think about CachyOS, same. So if you are using one of those mother distro and you are really hesitating, you're like, oh, should I use one? Should I not use one? I really encourage you to, you know, try one of them and, you know, see it for yourself. That's all. Me, what I would love to do in the future is get my hand on the hardware to actually do a really good job checking what type of like real latency we have, like mechanically, and like doing it like with a real, like, you know, I would say like methodic way to show you the difference. Because right now you just have to believe me. What kind of reassure me though is there is a lot of users to which I told them like to really go with TkG or CachyOS and have so much like positive feedback from the majority of them when they're like, okay, I feel the difference. It definitively added something to my gameplay. And for me, that's enough. Hopefully, you know, I'm going to have enough Patreon or supporter on my YouTube channel page. And I'm going to be able to afford financially the renting of one of those like really nice like camera will shoot like 500 or 1000 FPS and then do like a real like testing. Until then, thank you very much for watching this video. Have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to do the little thumb up, subscribe, etc. etc. And see you in the next one. Bisous bisous.